1 2 1 2 1 2. One two check 1 2 1 2 3.
Today is December 11th, and it is 5:45, and the workshop agenda setting meeting is called to order.
Don't take any votes.
Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Douther,
Present.
Commissioner Oakley,
Here.
Commissioner Hodges,
Here.
Vice Mayor Weinstein,
Here.
Mayor Black.
Present. Well, so far, we've got 5 items on the agenda setting meeting, and I just had a question about number C, because I thought we discussed that at a prior workshop. Why is it coming back to the workshop?
Madam Mayor, if I may, the item that will come back will include the language that the board provided, or will provide the language to incorporate the policy direction that we got from the board. So this will, you'll be able to see it in black and white, and we wanted to make sure that the board is comfortable with the language before we proceed forward with the adoption of the ordinance.
Okay, just curious. And then the only 2 other items I would suggest would be the kiosk and the fitness center, because that's still a moving target, I think.
The kiosk, or the fitness center, will be discussed as part of item A, the modification to the fee ordinance, because there is no fees that are incorporated in the fee ordinance. So that is one of the things that will need to be modified to account for the fee for non-residents. So that will be discussed as part of that item. And the kiosk, if it's the pleasure of the board, I would like to possibly move that to your meeting in January, because I still need a little bit more time to get the actual hard cost for the modified design that we discussed.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have anything else they want to add?
Yes, I do. Okay, so that's it for the kiosk. I would like to ask about a couple of items that we just haven't gone forward with, and they haven't been on any of our agenda setting things. And one is that that special events application that Jay was working on, that we haven't looked at in several months, and I just don't know where the status is on that. So I'd really like to see something like that before the first of the year, if that's possible. And then the other item is a report, or will we get a report on the check valves for those storm drains? Are we?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I'm actually in the process of writing a report. I met with the engineer, Mr. Al Carrier, and he provided me some insight, and met with Public Works staff. So I will be providing you a written report, and you should get it no later than Friday of this week.
Okay. And I do have 2 other things. One is okay, so let me work that out. Okay, and you remember Linda Portal and Julia Mandel were working on this neighborhood meeting notice? Is Director Portel not here? But do you know what point that is? Are they ready to bring something forward to us for a workshop?
That will be an item that I can have Director Portel address later on in the meeting. She is here on property, so she can talk specifically to that when that item will be coming before the board for discussion.
Okay. And then with regards to that fitness center, when you bring forward that on December the 18th, do you think that you'd be able to get the insurance company to provide us with some kind of a statement with regards to if we plan or do what we want to do with it, to be certain of what the liability issues are? It's one thing just to say, well, it's the same insurance that it was, or it's the same insurance that we have, but I don't know what that insurance is. So would you be able to get that? Insurance parameters. Okay, and we'll have that next week. Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Jonathan, on D, the Civil Service Commission, to the 18th, is that enough time for you guys to get all the information together for us, or should we push that to January, or should?
This particular item is to update the board on the conversation that the city clerk and I had with respect to the duties and responsibilities and the clerical support and administrative support. Right now, the city clerk's office is tasked with the responsibility of providing clerical and administrative support, and so the discussion is, does the board want the city manager's office to provide the administrative support to do that, because the clerk's office is inundated with managing a lot of the other boards and committees and those types of things. So it merely is if it's the pleasure of the board to move forward with making that switch and then providing for a process in which how meetings are to be held, when the meetings are to be held, et cetera. So it's just a brief conversation on that, not into more detail looking at the ordinances and all the other elements associated with it. But we will be talking about the personnel manual under item B and some of the challenges that we've identified as part of our review thus far, and how we think we'll be able to make some changes and then bring some recommendations to the board for consideration, obviously after working it through the Civil Service Commission.
I was just kind of wondering, that was brought up at the Tuesday night meetings, all the federal regulations involved now and the state regulations, are you going to be able to provide us with that information so we better understand what the left and right limits of the Civil Service Commission will be?
Probably not at this particular meeting, but we can certainly schedule it out for a subsequent meeting, whether it's the January workshop of the Board of Commissioners, where we can get into more specifics as to what the duties and responsibilities are in the charter, and then what the duties and responsibilities are in the Code of Ordinances, and then the board can have that conversation. You can also entertain the possibility of having a joint meeting with the Civil Service Commission if you did want to allow for them to opine on the existing structure. So whatever the board's pleasure is, but we can bring something as early as January to discuss that in greater detail.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else to go on the workshop?
Madam Mayor, if I may, if the board doesn't have any other comments, I would like to see if the board would entertain the possibility of a public meeting at Johns Pass Village to go over the survey that was provided by Duell and Associates. Probably, I would say maybe about 45 to 50 days ago, we embarked upon looking at a survey of all the city property within the village, and we have provided copies of the survey to board members that have asked for that, and I think we even sent out an overlay. However, that map is very complex, and if you are not intimately involved in some of the nuances of land surveying and engineering, it is somewhat confusing. So in my conversations with Mr. Carrier, one of the things that we decided to do is to entertain the possibility of having a meeting just similar to that of a workshop meeting, and then kind of walking the board through the survey, working, of course, with the city attorney's office to make sure that it is appropriately noticed, working with the city clerk's office to make sure meeting minutes are taken, making sure it is accessible to the public, and having certain points where we can discuss the items the questions that you may have associated with the survey. So I wanted to see if the board would entertain that. I think that's the most expeditious way to discuss what properties the city's responsibilities, what duties are under the auspice of the city, and then where does the property lines from private and public start and stop. So if the board will indulge staff, we would like to proceed forward. We're looking to schedule a meeting probably during a time where the sun is out and we have a little bit of warmth, so we're not out there going through the village, and obviously being conscientious of you all's schedule, making sure it's later on in the day to accommodate the board, making sure they're in attendance so we can walk through some of those areas and provide some clearer perspective. So if the board is interested, staff would like to move forward with scheduling that.
I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
That's fine.
So,
Yeah.
so June when it's warmer, huh?
All right. That concludes my comments, Madam Mayor.
Anyone else have anything to add? The meeting is adjourned at 5:55.